This one decision got me to $100 million twice. Most people who want to build wealth and make a lot of money get this all wrong. This happens to brand new people starting businesses, people even thinking about starting businesses, and established entrepreneurs who just get stuck. This one decision affects the entire future of how much money you make in business. This decision is pricing. Whether you want to build your first $1 million business, your first $10 million business, or want to scale all the way to $100 million, this is the most important decision you will make. Get it right, and getting customers profitably is easy. Get it wrong, and you'll work your butt off for 1/10 of the sales, profits, and wealth. So here's how to price anything you sell the right way to make the most money possible long term. Most advice about pricing is all wrong. Either it's all about charge as much as humanly possible, which is one end, or don't charge too much, or you'll price yourself out of the market on the other end. Both of those pieces of advice will kill you in your business. There's a bit of an art and a science to pricing. For example, how much would you pay for an unlabeled 1-ounce gold coin? You look up the current market price, which is around $5,000, and it would pay pretty close to that. Why else would you pay more or less? But what if I told you this gold coin was carried by the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius? Every time he wrote his timeless thoughts in his diary, which later became meditations, he pulled out this one coin and placed it on his writing surface next to him. He credits this coin with reminding him of both the permanence and impermanence of life and treasure. Now, how much would you pay for this 1-ounce coin? Probably a lot more. Pricing any product is part like selling a barrel of oil and part like selling a famous Picasso painting. If you've ever taken any sort of business classes, or if you watched a lot of business-related videos, you may have seen something that's called the supply and demand curve in economics. Basically, the idea, which we all know just through common sense as being consumers, is that as price goes up, demand decreases. If you charge a bunch of money for something, there's fewer people who are willing to and able to buy it. But the reality is, even though that's a standard model from economics, is that there's certain quirks in human thinking which have shifted this whole thing. That's the whole point of building a brand, which is get somebody to pay more for a product that may even be a higher price. And so in some cases, increasing prices actually increases demand, as with the famous Birkin bag, for example, which are purses that cost tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. In other cases, decreasing a price a lot actually decreases demand. And if you've ever tried to give something away for free, just to get somebody's email, for example, you've probably found this out. It's not that easy. So at some point, people don't want more free stuff. So you can take your price all the way to zero, but doesn't mean the demand for it's going to go to infinity. The real demand curve, you get these counterintuitive leaps at certain points in which you can actually increase demand while you increase price. And that's the secret of super high profits and wealth for you. What you don't want to do is get caught in the middle, in between these different price points that I'll discuss shortly, because you're going to find that your unit of sales suffer as you actually make less per unit sold. So there's really 3 levels of pricing, and you need to understand the brand that you're building, the business that you're building, the products you're selling. Where do you live? Because you don't want to get caught in the middle of these. You want to definitively own one of these categories. And people have made tons of money in every single one of these levels. Where people struggle is where they don't know which level they live in, and they never get anywhere. First level is discount. People buy discount products at discount prices because the prices are low. The brand doesn't quite matter so much. One example is Costco's Kirkland Signature. By itself, it's worth like $90 billion, which makes it bigger than almost any other consumer brand on the planet other than a handful of ones that we all know very well. Another example from the car world is Nissan. They're definitively a low price discount car brand. I'm going to give you a few other car brands as we go through here, so it makes it easier for you to wrap your head around this. So the strategy in a discount brand is to be the lowest price for the level of quality you offer. You don't necessarily have to be the lowest price overall, because you may not want to go down to terrible products that are just falling apart for people. But if you're like, hey, I want to offer pretty good quality, and within that quality level, I want to be the lowest price possible. That's a great strategy you can occupy. Second pricing strategy is to be a premium provider. With a premium product, pricing becomes a signal of quality. Because consumers have bought so much stuff, we tend to associate a higher price with a higher level of quality. And that's exactly what premium products are tapping into. And because you're selling at a higher price, the cost to produce the things that you sell likely does not increase proportionally with the price that you sell at. So that tends to mean in a premium product, which is why there's such a great category and type of product to sell, is that you tend to have a larger profit per unit. And so what do you do with those extra profits? You can just put them in your pocket, but you don't really get anywhere. You can use those extra profits you make per unit to either create a better product. This is kind of like a strategy with Tesla. They don't do so much marketing. They just keep reinvesting to make the products better and better. So but they're still a premium product. The other option, other than reinvesting those excess profits in the actual product to make it better, you can also use it to increase awareness, do more marketing. This is most premium brands we're familiar with. So, for example, like a Nike. Nike invests heavily, spending hundreds of millions of dollars on athletes every single year so that they can reinforce their image. And so people are willing to pay more money for a same t-shirt just because it has a little swoosh on it. Both of my businesses that have scaled to over $100 million followed a premium pricing strategy. My business, Amazing.com, we sold an e-commerce training program, tons of it, tens of thousands of these things. And we priced it at a premium, multiple thousands of dollars, but that allowed us to reinvest heavily in the product to make it better and offer more than anybody else at the time. And we were able to pay affiliates a ton of money, so also building awareness. My other business that scaled just as big, Life Boost Coffee, we sell a premium coffee product. It allows us to keep reinvesting to make that product as good as possible and to also reinvest in marketing and growth so we build awareness for our business. A car model that follows the premium pricing strategy is Mercedes. So they sell products that are not the most expensive, but they're definitely a premium option compared to a Nissan, for example. So when pricing a premium product, you tend to want to aim for 20 to 50% above the market and likely even 10 to 20% above other premium options. And that gives you a solid price that you can build from and allows you to reinvest in marketing and also reinvest to continually create a better product than anybody else's. The third and final category of pricing, and like I said, none of these are necessarily better than the others. You just have to know which one you're going after. The last one is luxury. Luxury is different than premium. They're not the same thing. Because in luxury pricing, the pricing really becomes a signal for the buyer that they are worth something, that they are willing to spend a ton of money on something. So they're willing to run around in a very expensive car with a very expensive purse, with a very expensive suit, that people know that thing is expensive. That's a little bit different than premium, which is you're just paying for quality for your own benefit. With a luxury product, the pricing and the product itself is a signaling tool for the actual buyer. So in a luxury goods and luxury pricing, you know you're likely going to sell fewer units because you're priced so high. But you price it high enough so that those few units have a disproportionate amount of profit. One example is Moncler. They have a $480 men's white polo, which I guarantee you does not block the sun any better than any other white polo on the planet, but it becomes a signaling tool for the buyer. Another classic example is Ferrari. So Ferrari sells cars that are multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars on average. They sell only about 14,000 cars a year, and they make $2 billion in profits per year. That's $140,000 per car, where people can buy far cheaper cars that are still getting from point A to point B. Now compare that, and here's the real danger of getting caught in between. What is Ford? Is Ford a discount brand? Is it a premium brand? It's not really clear. It's probably more of a discount brand, but it's still not owning a strong position there. They sell 2 million cars a year, and last year they lost $8 billion. That means they lost $4,000 per car. Ferrari sells only 14,000 cars. They made $2 billion in profits. That's the difference between really owning a pricing strategy and getting lost in the middle of who knows where. So your goal in luxury pricing is to price so high that people notice, because price becomes that signaling tool. And you have to, at all costs, preserve your brand image, because that's what the entire business is based on. Every single detail matters that goes into your product, into your website, into your branding, into your associations, all of that. And also a typical strategy in luxury goods is to limit supply, because you need some sort of scarcity that are going to make people kind of go into a frenzy and irrationally want to pay these super high prices for products that they know probably don't cost that much to make. Example, Birkin bag limit supplies. Porsche's 911 Turbo S, you can't just go buy one at a dealership. You either have to buy it aftermarket or you have to buy multiple other cars from a dealership first before they give you an allotment. Same thing with the Rolex Submariner watch. Now, Rolex has different prices and watches, but some of these particular models, like the Porsche 911 Turbo S and the Rolex Submariner, they intentionally limit supply following that exact same model to preserve that luxury pricing. And it also increases the demand and value of all their other products. Because somebody thinking about buying those, they're like, man, that's really what I want, but it's not available. I can't buy it at a dealership, or I have to buy it aftermarket. I don't really want to do that. And so instead, I'm just going to settle and buy this other thing. So it actually increases the sales and value of all of their other products, which is why it can be such a good strategy if you're willing to go there. So what's the best option for most businesses? Premium. It doesn't require the fanaticism of reducing costs of a discount brand or the fanaticism of protecting your image and selling at a super high price like the luxury brand. So in most cases, the people that I've taught, the businesses I've built, a premium strategy is the way to go. You create a product that's better than anything else out there, but not so expensive that you have to sell it at luxury pricing. But you create a product that's better, but also that you can sell at a price that makes you a disproportionate amount of profit compared to the cost it takes for you to create that better product. But how do you find the optimal pricing to sell a premium product at? First, you look at the market and see who else is selling a lot at the high end of the current market. Because in general, over time, prices in almost every category, except maybe some technology products, tend to go up over time. Partially it's due to inflation, partially it's due to people being able to push the envelope on being able to charge more and more for a higher and higher level of quality as consumers are willing to pay more for a higher level of quality of that product. So I would recommend looking at what else is in the market right now, find out who is selling a lot at a high end of that market, not just somebody who's price high but they never sell anything. You want somebody that's price high and is absolutely crushing it. Your price range is either where they're at or plus 20 or 30%. That's where you can start out, and that's the kind of price you can sell at. And that allows you to back into your margins of what you can buy the product at based on the features and everything else that you want to add in there that's not currently available in the market. And you can even start with a strategy. I'm coaching some guys right now that own a 7-figure business. They're expanding into a new channel with a new product that should absolutely crush it. And I'm recommending they price exactly like that. But you can always start with a new customer special. So here is the actual price we're going to charge. But just to get the ball rolling at first, because you need to build reviews, build social proof, build some marketing, you can do a new customer special at first. And that'll allow you to start getting this whole machine going. But your goal is eventually to remove that discount and work up to your full premium pricing. Because a discount product is just constantly being discounted. A luxury product is basically never being discounted. That defeats the whole purpose. A premium product, you want to very selectively discount. Well, Sephora sells a lot of premium makeup and skincare products. They run a very limited number of sales every single year. So that's a perfect example of the kind of strategy you want to run. It's okay if you want to run a big discount for Black Friday or something like that, but it shouldn't be always on sale, always discounted. That's not what you want to do inside of a premium brand. And that's a big mistake that I made myself and a lot of people make because it kind of devalues the brand. And then when you're selling a premium product, you want to continually improve it, continually improve your marketing, continually increase awareness, and continually improve the actual product because you will end up having imitators. So your goal, so you stay ahead, so somebody doesn't do what you're doing, which is jump into a market with a bunch of lazy competitors and start imitating what people have, making it better, and then all of a sudden you start taking their sales. You don't want people to do that to you. So you have to continually improve your product just like Apple does, but it's harder because it's a technology product. Most of us don't have to work that hard to improve our product, but you keep making it better so you stay ahead of all the new hungry people jumping into the space. At the same time, you're reinvesting in marketing to continually reinforce your premium positioning. And then your goal is to incrementally raise prices every single year, ideally faster than inflation, such as 5 to 10% a year is a good goal. This is exactly what Warren Buffett did at See's Candies. When they acquired them over the next decade, they didn't actually end up selling that many more pounds of chocolate. They were selling about the same volume of stuff as they did was when he bought it, but their profits were astronomically higher because all he did in that business, which in most businesses, he doesn't want to get involved in operations at all. But in that particular business, he saw a pricing opportunity. So he would basically pull out the price sheet at the end of each year, say, okay, we're going to sell this box of chocolate for an extra 5%, this box of chocolate for an extra few dollars. And you basically go through that list just like that. And that's how they were able to dramatically increase profits while not actually selling that many more pounds of chocolate. That's the power of incrementally raising prices. And that's what's possible, especially in a premium pricing strategy. So if you want more strategies to start and scale your business, subscribe to my channel and watch the video below next.